The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ. And I'm Nelson.
And Nelson is here. We have another, our perennial guest, Nelson. So, I don't know, where do we begin? People getting shot? Or what? You want to start with the clowncil meeting?
I want to start with the clowncil meeting.
The clowncil meeting.
I am absolutely appalled. And Mr. Mayor, I know you're watching, or one of your staff is watching. I want the chief financial officer held accountable. She spent the majority of that city council meeting on her phone. She was texting away on her phone. So guess what? Maybe a public records request should happen to get the documents of her phone to see what was so important that she had to be texting or playing with her phone instead of answering the questions of the city council. And Seth Aikens had to do all the answers. We know she's clueless. We know this already. Okay? So have your staff, because this is your staff. You're paying her 6 figures not to play on the phone. And her claim that, well, I've been doing municipal finance for, could have fooled me. Could have fooled me. Because I'll tell you right now, that was a slap in the face to the people of Fall River.
But just to play the devil's advocate, what do we really need numbers for? They never give us any numbers that are actual numbers.
True.
I mean, you have to really put it in context. I mean, you're right. You are right, CJ. I was being a little facetious, satirical, but we never get it. Everything is always for this purpose of discussion, or there are approximations or anything else like that. But they need hard numbers all the time. They need hard numbers. They need hard numbers, but they never give out hard numbers to the people who are paying the taxes.
Right.
For these bills. You're right. But you're right. I mean, it's disrespectful to be on the phone, and if she was on the phone for a purpose, like she was trying to pull up something or get something that was germane to the discussion, she should have said that.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
it's noticeable. Obviously, you're on television. You should. They're transmitting that thing live.
Right.
And you're going to be going like this all day.
On multiple sources for people. Facebook, the cable channel. I mean, it's being broadcast in several, and it's then available on YouTube. So obviously they're broadcasting this for people to know. And it makes, not only does it make the administration look bad, it makes the city look bad.
Well, no. You know what else made them look bad? The great epiphany that they had yesterday, that there are elderly people and handicapped people that actually need some tax relief.
And how do you tell it's an election year?
That's how you tell.
That's right.
What an amazing thing.
Right.
This is the mayor that promised 2 different reliefs from taxes,
which we've never gotten.
Which we didn't get.
And also,
Nelson's chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
And also, CJ, me and you did a show where I filled in for Chip, and I held up a pie chart.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and what was the biggest bracket of low-income households in Massachusetts? Elderly.
Elderly.
Yeah. So it's no surprise. It's no secret. But again, they want to acknowledge them. You want to attempt to do something, and yet, in the same breath, Paul doesn't want to show what they're paying for Durfee.
Right.
So, talk about talking against yourself. In my opinion, it's too little too late. They had every opportunity to do something during the pandemic, post-pandemic, and it's always the same thing. 2.5, increase here, and increase here. And now they want to acknowledge that seniors actually exist.
And what's really interesting was Linda asked specifically, I want to know what the first 2 quarters bill means as opposed to the last 2 quarter bills. Well, the first 2 quarter bills are an estimate of what your taxes will be. How they don't know what our taxes will be on July 1st, I still don't know. But That's an estimate of what you're going to pay. And then the last two bills is when they give you the great kada, and you get hit.
That's right. That's like our estimated sewer and water.
Right.
It's going to be about $5. And then nobody in the city gets a $5 increase. Everybody gets a $25, $50, $100 increase. But that's the way it is, you know.
That's the way numbers work in Fall River.
Yeah, look, they're slapping people in the face with this by pretending that they care. They haven't cared for 2 years, 3 years now. They haven't cared. Promises, you know, the check's in the mail and Paul Coogan's going to give you a tax break. That's the other one now, we can say. But, hey.
Hey, but Paul got a gift. Yeah. He got a gift this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The prohibition on ARPA tax cuts is declared unconstitutional. Oh. So now he can turn around and he can take ARPA money and put it anywhere he wants.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm sure that all the Dems had a lot to do with that because they bailed out every blue state and blue city in the country with this money. As we remember, we were looking at layoffs and police and fire, 2.5 override, reinstituting the purple bags, reinstituting the trash pickup fee by unit, and
you know, and before we dive into to the handouts in regards to ARPA money, as we know that $7 million is being used to pay for, you know, Ken Fiola's pet project of Route 79, and I stuck it to MassDOT.
Yes, you did.
Okay, I stuck it to them so that they can understand what the hell is going on in Fall River.
We'll get back to you later.
You know, they just like, all right.
We have to move on.
They called me CJ.
Get away.
I'm like, okay.
You're banished.
So I said, look, this was a primarily state and federal project. So this should have been fully funded by them. Why should we? So they brought up the whole CSO thing. It doesn't matter. That $7 million could have went towards relief for the people.
Well, what really got me was the fact that they said the CSO thing in passing, and then they turned around and said, oh, but they wanted special benches and special lights that the state won't pay for.
Special massage benches and tanning lights.
And lastly, I was going to say, in regards to that project, you know, our waterfront is no longer going to be Fall River's waterfront. It is for the Boston folks. It's no longer for us, because when that thing is fully done by 2026, that's the estimated period when ARPA money is going to be fully exhausted. It's going to be expired by the end of 2026. It's for them. It's not for us. And that, to me, is a truly, truly bad moment for us, because, again, when that train is fully in effect, people are going to be priced out. And think about it. Our own waterfront is going to be enjoyed by mostly out-of-town people.
Did you see that they opened the Pawtucket Central Falls T station this week? And what did they say the reason why they needed to do that? Economic development for Pawtucket and Central Falls. Toilet can never be.
Yeah. Another promise that everybody's going to come down and it's going to talk.
And my big thing is this. That is the MBTA, the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority. Doesn't say the RITA, the Rhode Island Transit Authority. It says the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority. And who's paying for those conductors and personnel to ride into Rhode Island? I want to know.
Last time I checked, Pawtucket was in Rhode Island.
That's right.
Maybe they moved the boundaries. Who knows? Maybe 3A, they took that as part of the...
There you go.
Who knows? Maybe it's now part of the... You know, it is technically, if you read their laws, part of the MBTA. So that T station is Massachusetts. They seceded from Rhode Island.
There you go.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. But let's do our other thing. Remember that we talked about, the individual had a discussion with Paul on the bullet hole in his house.
Yes.
And why you're tying up all these police. But we don't need the police at anything. But then, man hit 3 times in Fall River shooting. Police charge suspect with armed assault to murder. And then it says Fall River shooting suspect held without bail. This individual's named Armando Rivera Angulo, 29, was arrested Saturday afternoon, who responded to St. Joseph Street. The shooting was on St. Joseph, which is right in my neighborhood. Yeah. Now I got some bullets. around, flying around my neighborhood. The man accused, but they do not say where this individual lives.
From, right, I noticed that.
Yeah, you noticed that? I noticed that too. That they don't say if he's from Fall River,
Or Taunton, or New
or
Bedford, or...
if he originally is from Fall River, because even if he is from Fall River, they should say, well, he came down here, you know, when we were stuffing our public housing, which Paul doesn't know, with people out there to fatten up the contract. But, you know, the city is becoming, it's crazy. And to deny it, to walk around and deny it, it's like, he's been absent for 3 years. Where has he been? Nothing on Malone, nothing on anything. It's like nothing happened. Pretend it didn't happen. You know, the old, remember, keep your head down, keep your mouth shut. They'll forget about it in the next news cycle, right? So it's like poor people don't exist.
The
Elderly people don't exist.
Yep.
Handicapped people don't exist. But then all of a sudden it's an election year, and we can see the light. It's like, it's like Our Lady of Fatima. He was standing there in front of the bush, and Our Lady appeared to him and showed him all these newspaper articles. He said, look, I read this stuff. I don't think they read the Herald News up there. But, it's like a big epiphany. Now, we do have a problem in the city of Fall River. And our police department is undermanned, understaffed, and this is, as you said, it's like being on the phone in the middle of a city council meeting. It's an insult to the people of Fall River that she's on the phone, but it's an insult for a mayor to just ignore this for 3 years while people are being, this individual, according to this article, which is at least has one good part. It says he's in stable condition.
Yep, the gentleman who was shot. He's
A 60-year-old gentleman
Yep.
shot 3 times, and
And they don't say why. They
Well,
don't give a motive. They said that they responded to a fight of 2 women outside the property. Well, was the guy shooting at the women? Did he just decide he was going to fire a gun to get everyone's attention? And, like some people do, they shoot in the air and the bullet comes down
yeah, well, you
somewhere.
can't hit somebody in the back if you shoot in
No,
the air.
Exactly,
So, I mean,
exactly. So, and the good thing is that the Fall River District Court held him pending a dangerousness hearing on Friday. So we'll see what happens on Friday. We won't have it on our show, but somebody will have it somewhere Friday. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
And for the people at home, bullets are flying in our city. We are a dangerous city. We're number 1 in crime for a reason, according to the FBI. And it's evident by every other day we're seeing residents who are fearful to go outside at night to either walk their dog or whatever, because they're afraid of getting hit by bullets. And it's evident now that the resident who came up to him was like, look, this is a dangerous situation, not only for our residents, but for our police.
But it doesn't mean there's bullets flying everywhere in Fall River.
No, just in your neighborhood, in my neighborhood, in your neighborhood, and we have 3 different neighborhoods
That's right.
represented here.
Yep,
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
I mean, totally
Yeah.
separated by miles.
yeah.
So
So
it makes it very interesting.
We got the south end. We've got the, I don't even know what they refer to your area as the
Niagara, yep.
Niagara neighborhood, and the Flint neighborhood.
Right.
So, and we have people commenting on social media. We had somebody that somebody sent me the post that somebody was saying that she's lived in this city her whole life and she's never seen anything like this. It's what are you doing? And she called out the mayor by name. She said,
did.
what are you doing? And this is crazy. And now again, the erosion of a city. I talked about it on the other show. The 4 markers of the disintegration of civilization. And the first marker, because they had, you can go read all these scholarly papers if you'd like, about how civilization's been destroyed all the way from Rome, etc. But one of the things, the primary indicator is crime. riots in the streets, crime, disregard for human life, et cetera, et cetera. And we have it right here in Fall River, so we see that. We
have it throughout the country.
Yeah, we check that box. We check that box.
Yeah.
We check that box.
As a matter of fact, do you know that with all these mass shootings, we've had more deaths from mass shootings in the first 23 days of the year than we had half of last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the dismantling of society.
Yeah.
We can see it. And the second thing is bad schools, because when people don't get educated and can come out into the community prepared to try to get a decent job and have a decent life, obviously they have issues. They stay in the streets. Look at what they did in Baltimore, graduating high school students that were reading at the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade level and giving them a high school. What are they going to do when they get out? They're functionally illiterate.
Right.
And we see Fall River 335th out of 351. That's the number 2. The number 3 is low social cohesion. In other words, people feel isolated. They're not together. There's no more pride in Fall River. Remember, it used to be, we'll have Fall River celebrates America. Yep. We'll have Fall River do this. We'll have a neighborhood block party and everybody gets together. That's gone. People are beginning to isolate themselves because of the crime, because of the things. And then the last one, of course, is something that is rampant in Fall River, drugs, as it is all out the country. But as you said, this is an indication Fall River is going to be ahead of the curve. Normally we're behind a curve like with skateboards, but now we're going to be ahead of the curve in this city being destroyed because it seems that nobody's paying attention.
And one of the other things that historically has proven to be the destruction of a community, or in some cases a state or a country, was the fact that in Rome, people stopped voting. They didn't care anymore. And Fall River has people that are not voting. When you have 54,000 plus people registered to vote, and you think that 10,000 coming out is a good turnout, you have a really serious problem.
Go ahead, Nelson, weigh in while I look up Teddy
And
Roosevelt.
that's a really, really important point to make. But also in regards to our public education system, let's not forget grades 3 through 8. And I held up that bar graph in front of the school committee. We are partially meeting expectations there as well.
Which means we're failing.
Okay, we're failing across the board.
Yeah.
Okay, and grades 3 through 8 is the beginning of a child's school career, not only into education, but when they leave, hopefully they graduate and pass the MCAS, and the MCAS raised their scores to graduate. So all across the board, we have a tremendous problems everywhere with education, crime, drugs, you name it, we have it, and we just have somebody who is detached from reality, and it's at a cost of the city, our residents, our public safety, and this is not how it's supposed to be, and again, we deserve better than this.
You know, I've spoken to several current teachers and several retired teachers, and they all say the same thing. The thing that's destroying our children's ability to learn is the fact that we teach them to the test.
Yeah.
We don't teach them to learn, we teach them the test so that they can function on the test. That's it. And that's supposed to be the marker for how well we're doing. So all that's showing the mark is that we're meeting the mark on the test. It doesn't mean these kids are learning anything.
And the taxpayers are paying a pretty penny every single year for education in Fall River, and we hear it all the time with the joint committee meetings.
Right.
This is an investment, and then they have their.
That's what we heard about Durfee. Right. Oh, this is an investment. We have to. It will improve. Kids deserve the best, the best, the best. So they got them the best, to the point of $300-some-odd million of school that as soon as it opened was already failing. There was leaks and there was problems with the systems.
Mm-hmm. And now there's no excuses. Now
Right.
there is no more excuses. You got the money, you got the staff, supervisory positions, you name it. The school department has it, and it's just again. You know,
I keeps putting more people in place.
I hear both sides, you know, for the test, against the test. But again, when you really look down to it, we're partially meeting
When
expectations.
teachers and parents are starting to get together and starting to unify to stay away from the test. They want to abort the test. They want to get rid of the test. They tell you, the parents, don't let your children take the test, opt out of the test, opt out of the test, opt out of the test.
Well,
But state law requires that they take the test in the 10th grade, otherwise they don't graduate.
Yeah.
They get a certificate of completion. What good is a certificate of completion? Makes absolutely no
but
sense.
again, there's the problem with our society. You got one side that wants to abolish testing, and then there's no metric to determine how well these people are being taught.
They want to abolish the MCAS.
No,
They don't want to
but
abolish
there are a
all
lot of
testing.
people that want to abolish testing,
Oh, yeah.
period.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
And that is wrong, because you need a metric. And look, I do not like the MCAS. I'm an opponent of it, because as you said, they teach to pass the MCAS.
Right.
But you're not going to tell me all these professors and teachers, they know what they're supposed to teach. We used to have a fundamental test of whether you can read functionally at a grade level, do math, that necessary math. You don't have to test them in calculus and algebra, but you can teach somebody addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and give a test that says, well, if this person goes out into society, they can count how much money they have and how much change they got coming back to them without a computer.
Right.
We got college-educated kids that can't make change. You give them a couple of extra cents so you can get a rounded number. They look at you like you have 5 heads. The thing is that, but you can't abandon a metric.
No.
It's like having an army and saying, okay, we're not going to make sure these people can actually hit what they aim at with their rifles. Well, you're never going to win another war. You're never going to be able to protect yourself, because if you can't hit what you're aiming at, you got to have a metric. They give a test. You got to shoot.
When I was in the school system, we had tests, okay? It wasn't, it wasn't 3rd, 8th, and 10th grade. It was, I think we had it at 3rd grade. I think we had it at 5th grade. Maybe we had another one at 8th or 9th. But they weren't teaching to that test. They were standardized tests that developed a metric for the school system to go by. And we were doing just fine with that metric. We were producing students that were educated. All of a sudden, the MCAS comes along and we're producing idiots.
Yeah. Well, like you said, because who created those tests? Egghead idiots.
And politicians.
And politicians,
Yeah.
because they wanted to say, but we're putting out these geniuses. Look, you graduate from high school, it means that you have a basic education. That's what you should be testing for. Not everybody, see, it's amazing when I see this, when I look at Germany, where you go there and you go to high school, and they go, okay, you're going to go to high school? They test. I don't know how countries can do it. We have one of the worst educational systems in the world, and we have the most expensive education. But in Germany, they tested these people and say, nah, you don't have it. You're not college material. We're going to teach you a trade. And they have the greatest trade system teaching and have had for 70 years. And I've seen, well, I haven't seen them, but I know people who have had German exchange students here, and they're baffled by the fact that the United States lets people go to college for stuff like basket weaving or like some of the rich kids said, we just wanted to go to party and get the college vibe. This is the problem in America. Over there, they go, okay, you're going to be an adult someday, and you should be working. You should be a productive part of society. So if you're going to go to college to get something that you can actually use, well, and if you can, and we know you can do it, you're going to go. But if not, we're going to teach you something that makes you a useful and productive part of this society. What our educational system in this country has been totally destroyed by these people who use it as a propaganda arm to teach people.
And now Maura Healey and Senate President Spiker want to make it so that community colleges are free. And we've had conversations with our producer, and we believe that you've got to have some standard before you just go to college and get a free education. But what standard is going to be set up for this? How are they going to determine if you go to college and you can get free education? If you go 3 semesters and you don't get a B average or a C average or something, or you're doing D's, do you still get the free education? We got to put in some guidelines. And we have to make education available for everybody, yes. But we have to make it available to the people who are fundamentally able to perform in it.
And as we wind down the show, as we know, yesterday, there's great talking points with education. Mark Dion had his show yesterday.
Yep.
He was talking about Kevin Aguiar wanting a pay raise.
Yes.
So, knowing me like myself, I participated and I said, well, okay, so you have outrage over this, but where's the outrage with currently what's going on when you have somebody up there who is literally fiscally mismanaging the money without any planning? I mean, you can't draw the light on one thing with municipal finances and yet turn a complete blind eye to what's currently going on that is unprecedented with what he's doing with ARPA money and everything else, and with no planning for budget matters, and because it's all gonna bite us in the end pretty soon. But it really baffled me that he just completely disregarded my two inputs about spending money recklessly without any planning.
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't he? You got dismissed, so you're dismissed again because you brought up a valid point that, all of a sudden, like they're worried about elderly and handicapped people's taxes. Now, all of a sudden, they're worried about giving the school committee a pay raise because an opponent and somebody who's been on the opposite side of a lot of issues with our mayor wants it, and then now they're going to condemn him, but the mayor will give out $14,000, $19,000 pay raises. So again, but quickly, because Friday will be coming, and we'll cover this in depth, but Fall River settles another police civil rights lawsuit. And we will go into them in detail, but then it's been another suit again.
Filed on December 31st.
Suit again.
And the best part about this one is, it's the wrong person. The police broke down the door to the wrong person's house.
And it's been filed in Boston.
Right.
Which means the settlement is going to be a lot larger, because everybody knows that Southeastern Mass has the lowest settlements of any place in New England. And
but the city keeps playing on that, and that's why the settlements, like this one on the case that was settled on January 9th, settled for, what was it, $84,000?
$80,000 for one.
$80,000, something like that?
Yeah, $80,000 for one. And
So-
listen, we're $400,000, I think, already, and now this suit's for $500,000.
Yeah.
Problem was likely a very high number.
And it's going to, and this is the city's cavalier attitude, not, look, do we have a program? Are these officers, are they trained and to do this? What's happening? The department's disintegrated. It's going to be impaired forever because they're losing all the people that will be promoted up the line that are familiar. They're all leaving the city. Now we have, $1 million worth of lawsuits, but they don't care, because guess who's paying? We are.
Yeah.
We're paying, not them. This is outrageous. I mean, there's got to be whether it's shootings, and I respect the police.
So do I.
And these cases are out. These cases are out there, and they will be adjudicated. But the city again will settle. And the police department has all kinds of problems, and our police officers deserve to have their department fixed so they can have a productive work environment.
Absolutely.
And they have to, and they have to feel proud of being a police officer in Fall River. Okay, not like a comment from the mayor that says, there's no pride in the police. It's not an honorable profession. Okay, that sent Chris Peckham off the deep end, as we spoke about. Yeah. But it is an honorable profession. Fire is an honorable profession. Public safety is honorable professions. So let's give the support to our police department that we need and make sure it happens. Yep. I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politician accountable. We'll see you on Friday. Thanks for watching.